What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking in Bits, where we walk you through Bitcoin bit by bit so we can provide you with the information you need to possibly get rich. We want to welcome you back for episode 15. I'm half the team here, Jose. Ben here.
What's going on, bro?
Another good week, man.
Another good week.
Things are fantastic in the Bitcoin land. There's always new news.
Yeah. Very exciting.
We finally got over 60K.
Yeah.
We were just saying before we got this cut, actually, where it's weird because, you know, we just go back to business if this thing collapses. Yeah. So every day the price going up is kind of toxic because you stay on your phone all day. But it doesn't really matter. It's just more of a verification that you've been making the good decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's one thing to say that Bitcoin's going to do this and Bitcoin's going to do that and we're going to go to the next level and all that. But if the market doesn't think so,
yeah,
you're going to be by yourself.
Yeah, there's just so much news every day, every week.
Yeah.
You know, Teletubbies got in, tweeting Bitcoin stuff.
That's very strange.
Chipotle is doing giveaways. Like, it's, again, mass adoption in the retail space and then the corporate space where, like, people are, you know, doing more and more with Bitcoin. Venmo is going to bring on Bitcoin. Cash App already has Bitcoin. Like, it's just going to be in all of our, you know, quote unquote payment portals. So
you use Venmo a lot. Do you think Venmo is the Cash App competitor?
Yeah.
Because I put a lot of crap on PayPal, but I only use their main app.
The cool thing with Venmo is that, again, so like I can send you money and I can be like, you know, here's $20. Sorry about your constipation. Or like I can write something ridiculous and other people see it. So it's almost like this social money network.
And you can make it private if you want to. Right?
Of course.
Somebody told me that. Yeah. See, I'm
so
that
there's
dude.
no harm in that, right?
Yeah,
so I do a lot of the stuff just private. Like there's no need for.
Yeah. That's the weird part to me. Sometimes I don't want to see what other people are up to. Like sometimes people don't know they should be private.
The only time honestly that I see it is when I log in to send someone money. Or I'm cashing out.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't know if people spend time on that, like scrolling through stuff.
I don't know. I've just seen some weird stuff in the little bit that I've used it. But I guess the original question, do you think that's their Cash App competitor?
Yeah. I mean,
is it a valid one?
Who outside of Cash App and Venmo, what are people using to transact? No one's saying, hey, give me your PayPal email.
Yeah.
Maybe back in 2010.
But you're right. I just set an invoice for it, and it's fossil.
Invoices are one thing. But the quick on the fly, like, hey, we're going out for drinks.
Yeah, Cash App.
I'm going to take the bill, right? Because I want points.
Yeah.
And you can, you know, me and you have Strike, but not everybody's going to have Strike.
Right.
So Cash App or Venmo, really, or Cash.
Yeah, I don't have Venmo, so you guys asked that on that.
So it's Cash App.
It's Cash App for sure. It's just they make it funner, they make it easier.
Yeah.
We can do but I didn't know before you said it that Venmo was adding cryptocurrency or whatever.
Yeah, they're adding Bitcoin, which is inevitable.
And I don't want to keep saying cryptocurrency because in this podcast, and I'm sure you would agree, are highly focused on Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know they were adding that. That's pretty cool. But we've talked about it before. Yeah. Snail's pace, like they're kind of slowly trying to do some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why it takes so long.
Because they're not cool.
Yeah.
And that sucks. I don't know what to say. You can hire somebody new and they can start hiring people, but you know, I've done a little bit of coding in the background, like before, and there is something to be said about the culture of your coder. Like if they're cool coders, that does come out, and it's like they're artists.
Absolutely.
So they code cool stuff.
Yeah.
On the contrary.
If you got a bunch of lames or a bunch of 50-year-old coders.
They're pulling out lame stuff. And then I'm assuming that the person who approves that code is probably a lamey. Right? So then you get these like, hey, let's copy them, but we're not cool enough to do it like them.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I see with them.
Yeah,
but
good point.
Yeah, that's neither near here nor there. I got Bitcoin mining difficulty on the top of the list. I don't know if that's the order you want to go in. But I want to talk a little bit about the mining difficulty, and I think that's because that's what levels the playing field for Bitcoin. That's what keeps it. I think it was Gigi who, in the article Bitcoin in Time, said that Bitcoin's heart beats every 10 minutes.
Yep.
Every 10 minutes, blocks created.
Yep.
So it's the heartbeat of the system, and the difficulty makes it so we make sure it's 10 minutes. Because the example that Gigi was given in that article was like, let's give this fiat example, right? Where it's like, you're on the other side of the world. We have the same account. I'm in the USA, New York. You're in Europe. We only have, let's say, $100 in the account. You decide to go get breakfast. You swipe your card before I get to swipe it. But it's a time zone thing. The bank now gets to decide who goes through and who doesn't go through. Bitcoin uses that, what they're calling block time. to basically make it universal, so everybody's on the same exact time frame.
Gotcha.
And I think that's where the adjustment comes in, because what the adjustment is built to do is if we're mining blocks faster than 10 minutes, it makes the difficulty harder. So the miners have to work harder to get to 10 minutes, and the opposite. If they're taking 15 minutes to mine a block, then it gets easier. And I think that's the brilliance in Satoshi's original concept of what the miners were supposed to be doing. And the reason I have that here on the top of the list is because it stuck out to me, because the headline was the difficulty adjusts to record high as new miners come online.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that more competition, as we talked about before, and it's just proof that this thing is mathematically intact, because you would think more miners come on, this thing's about to go haywire. And Bitcoin just knows how to beat every 10 minutes without nobody telling it that it has to beat every 10 minutes. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, just the mining space in general is. I agree. There's a lot going on. There's an American company. I forget how much Bitcoin they just cleared, I think, for the quarter. But I mean, they're just creating Bitcoin, and they're going to keep it on their balance sheet. And
they're doing it smart. I'm getting more and more interested in that mining stuff. I still think the entry to barrier is too much for me.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's an area of Bitcoin that I should explore if I want to understand it all. Right? Like, I've gotten into nodes, I've gotten into Lightning, I've kind of done all that. This is now something that I need to see firsthand. To then be able to come here and be able to talk about this stuff, but also to feel better about my investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like when you see it work, it's a beautiful thing. Like that on the fly, the adjustment happens.
And that's why I'm looking at Compass Mining. Which is what I was telling you about.
How's that research gone?
So from what I'm seeing, you buy a rig through them. I think they import it from China. Like the Antminer Pros.
Wherever they can get it.
Yeah, it's like they're like industrial grade Bitcoin mining machines. They only mine Bitcoin. So you order that, and then you can send it to one of their facilities. So I think they have like Colorado and a few other states, a few other locations. I think some in Canada, and you can see their kilowatt rate hour. So for in Massachusetts, and our kilowatt rate hour for electric is anywhere between like 17 to 21 cents. It's going to cost that per kilowatt hour to power and mine Bitcoin. So, when you're mining, you basically have a computer that's on all day, and it's just working on the block all day. So it's using all of its power. So it's more profitable in a place like Colorado or Canada, who has a 0.06 kilowatt rate hour, right? So all of a sudden you've more than cut down your electricity costs in half. And so what Compass Mining, from what I'm understanding, you buy a rig through them, they send it to their facility, they maintain it for you. You pay them a fee, and then they pay you in Bitcoin directly to a wallet every month. And you can log into your account at any time and see how much Bitcoin you've accumulated for, all time, for the day, for the week. And then, if components fail or if the unit dies, it's obviously on you. But from my understanding, like, they'll just send you an invoice to repair it or whatever, or they'll say, hey, we should probably just sell this off. For parts or whatever.
So they consult you through it, basically.
To me, it's a passive way to invest, right? So if we're looking at a $9,000 rig, the profits right now are like $630 a month. Your electric bill is about $150. So you're clearing $450-ish. Passively, bro. You're not doing anything. You're getting that $450 while you're at work, while you're sleeping. But
the big entry, like, and the listeners, you let know, is the entry to barrier. You so got to have some guap for that.
These miners, the ones that I'm seeing are in the $9,000 range.
Gotcha. Which is still not a bad offer. Is there still not,
When you do the numbers, it's like an 80% cash on cash return. So in the first year, you're going to make 80% of your money back. And then a year from now, when Bitcoin doubles and triples, you're probably going to double your money.
Well, that's the real bet in mining.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, you're going to separate yourself eventually from the cost of your electricity to what you're getting back. Because in the beginning, that window may be very tight. Because you're just breaking even, or a little bit underneath, for say. But as the price of Bitcoin goes up and you continue to hodl it, then you start to separate yourself from what you're paying month to month or whatever. I'm starting to get interested again. I'm starting to come around more because I want to know that side of things. I have a different view on it. I do see the luxury in what you're saying and having them take care of it. I hate having to trust them with it. But I can see, and we've talked about this off the mics or whatever, where it's like, if you don't have the space for it, they're also tossing that hurdle for you and clearing it for you.
You don't have the space. Those things are also loud. Depending on how many you have to then dissipate the heat. If you're running too many, it might not be able to work in a residential zone. So like the units that I'm looking at, I think it's the S19. Oh, I know in general, sometimes rigs have basically like 240 volt. So they're not going to plug into this wall.
No, they're going to need something
It's
else.
going to have like a dryer washer hookup.
Yeah.
Where it's like one of those things. So they just have commercial facilities that are just designed for that.
Yeah. So it's similar to like, paying a property manager or being the landlord yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're paying a crypto property manager to manage our property.
Right. Yeah.
And pay us our passive income.
I'm terrible with trust, dude.
Yeah, no,
there's way too much passive information there. Whereas like I have to trust them with the device. I have to trust that they're being honest with the kilowatts. I have to trust that they're being honest with the numbers.
Yep.
And I have to trust that they're being honest with the Bitcoin that I'm getting.
Yeah.
And I don't know nothing about Compass mining, so this is none. But in general, like I just this is the problem I have with BlockFi. This is a problem I have with these services. Like this is not one of those things you replace. Yeah. This is one of those things that if you lose it or if you F it up, I can't just take dollar value for it. You're killing me on that one. So it's just interesting to me, but the idea is incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a dope idea.
In the real estate space, it's the equivalent of Fundrise. We're like, okay, we're going to allow you to buy a new condo development in Los Angeles, and we'll handle all the work, and we'll just pay you in profits.
Yeah,
and we'll send you an email about what it is. So to me, it's that idea in the crypto space. I think it's brilliant.
Sure. Yeah.
And I've seen a few case studies on it from like customers. So
yeah. I would like to try. I want to get to try it, but I think I would go the personal approach, right?
Sure.
I got the space, et cetera, and all that.
Absolutely.
But I just want to tinker with stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could set it up with your laptop. You can download.
Yeah, no, I want something more harder than that.
No, yeah, for sure. But just for the basic mining experience, you can download Smart Miner. There's a few different mining programs.
True.
And literally just queue it up. I mean, you're gonna make up 5 pennies for the
I'll take a shot at an older device.
Yeah,
like I don't need like the newest latest. But let me see it. Let me run it. Let me set it up. I want to also work with the electrical part of it. That's the weird part of me. It's like I don't have any electrical background, so obviously I'm gonna get consulted and do it the right way.
Yeah.
But something about I don't know. Somebody said it in a post the other day that I wasn't even talking and I was just a part of it and they took it off. And it was basically where he was telling me like, it's not worth it, electricity. I was like, dude, I understand that. I just want to play with it.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to pay just to play with it, even if I lose on it. And then he was like, he answered back the perfect answer, which is like, sometimes it's just building something on your own and watching it do something. Yeah. That's the price in itself that you're willing to pay.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where I'm at with it. Yeah. I want to understand it. I'll pay in just to have the experience. Yep. And if it turns into a lucrative thing, fantastic. If it doesn't, then at least I could come here and be able to cover that angle a little bit. Right?
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at with mining. Definitely much more open to it than I was a while ago. But it's just so much easier to buy Bitcoin and hold it.
Yeah, true.
That's the thing.
It's so you can, if you got 10 grand, you can buy a really nice rig that's going to create income for you, right? Or you can just spend 10 grand in Bitcoin this month and lock in that price at 60K.
And then that's like the property manager. Then you don't deal with the mining, you don't deal with the electrical, you don't deal with the headaches, the software, the learning curve, the potential that you do it wrong and you lose whatever you get. So that's one
to me. It's a way of just like to add to your dollar cost averaging. Yeah. Right. So if you're averaging, $500 a month or whatever, with one of these rigs, it's going to double your average daily cost. That you're buying into, what I mean?
Theoretical. We talk about this in theory. Yeah.
In theory. So it's just another way to dollar cost average, without having to come out of pocket like every month or whatever.
That's a good. And I think historically, this is not just Bitcoin, but I think if you can just sell yourself something, you're gonna do it. You could do loopholes.
I mean, and it comes down to the numbers. You know what I mean?
Having a strategy. That's cool.
Like, here's an example. A lot of people there are some people who are, selling their vehicles right now. Like American Huddle, I think he just sold a vehicle. I think he sold his motorcycle.
Sure.
And all this stuff. And or a friend of mine, he has rental properties. He's taken out HELOCs on his properties. So he has extra equity built up in his property. He can take a loan out for 30 grand. And if he can make more money in the crypto space, buying a miner or buying Bitcoin, he can pay the difference in the interest.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So it's like...
Yeah, but he has to sell it to himself that way. Right. And then that's where information matters because, he's obviously successful. Yeah. But if he didn't know he can do that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a numbers game. Man.
Yeah, you got to watch us. Yeah. and just get a lot of opinions and education and see, even in our conversations off the mic and stuff, just the way you seem to frame things out always seems to pull me out of my framing. And it's just one of those things. You can never think like somebody else.
Yeah.
But you could definitely see where some people are coming from. Yeah. And then that logic, the numbers add up.
I try to just always bring it to numbers. So
sure.
Here's an example. You have a used vehicle. Say you owe 10 grand on it. at 4%, right? In your mind, or whoever, right? They just want to get out of debt.
Yeah.
So if they're going to have 10 grand this year, in their mind, they want to pay off that car so they can be debt free.
Sure.
Right. So their interest return on that is 4%, right? Because that's what the interest is at on the loan.
Right.
And it's like, well, if you just buy Bitcoin with 10 grand, what will the return be? If it's if Bitcoin doubles again this year, you're going to have 20 grand.
Yeah. For doing nothing. The easiest
So
thing.
you'll have 96% more just buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, do you want a 4% return and no debt, or do you want debt and 100% return?
But that's why the mining is hard.
Yeah.
That's because you can sell the mining numbers to yourself, which you've done and I think I've done.
Yeah.
But you see that right there, like that same argument can be used to say don't mine.
Yeah.
That return right there that you just said is like, why would I mine then? I could just buy Bitcoin and get this massive return. Yeah. That's why mining is a hard one.
I'm at the point where I want to do both. I want to contribute to Bitcoin by, I told you before, like I was looking at rigs, but the issue is the GPUs are just sold out everywhere.
That's hard
so
to
people
find
buy $500 graphic cards, resell them for $800, $900. And because everyone's trying to mine and add to their rig collection, the prices are just dumb. So with these other rigs, it's like, it's not anything that you would like buy, or you would have, like, you wouldn't get these parts off eBay. Well, they resell on eBay, but you wouldn't build an Antminer piece by piece off eBay, is my point.
Right.
Like
That'd be a bad idea, probably.
Yeah. So these are just, bulletproof industrial machines, and having that in their custody, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, definitely in different ways. I have a reason underlining my whole philosophy on the mining, and the reason I want to do it. Sometimes you can't put a price on privacy.
Yeah.
It's the only real way to get non-KYC Bitcoin is to mine. Yeah. And I think that when that light bulb went off in my head, I found so many different use cases for non-KYC Bitcoin. I was like, and not only to HODL, of course. Yeah. But you and I have talked about this. Individuals that want to be off the grid. Well, funny you should say that, good sir. I have some Bitcoin that I can sell you right now, right? Like that type of, just to make cost back. But my thing is sometimes you don't put a price on privacy and sovereignty. And just like like you said, we contributed to the network in many different ways. Mining should be one of those things that everybody should at least try, if you're willing to, of course. But one of those things that's why I'm not going to talk about the other coins. Yeah. And this is my thing. And this is because the Bitcoin community, Hornets, whatever the hell, the Plebs.
Cyber Hornets.
Whatever you want to call it. I'm going to tell you what. The Bitcoin community is earning its keep. Because I've gone to Ethereum rooms. I've gone to NFT rooms, groups, etc. Yo, the Bitcoin guy, only in Bitcoin rooms do you hear security. Mining, like different philosophies, traders, right? Like so many different, and the other Ethereum rooms, they're always just trying to find a way to get you to put money somewhere. It's never about security. It's never about anything else but, hey, this thing is cool. You should put your money here. Yeah. And then they use the bubble words because this is about to, that other thing is a bubble and this thing's about to, and we're about to be Amazon cloud. Well, how are you not telling me how to keep my stuff safe, man? Why are we not having a conversation about hardware wallets? Because Ledger takes Ethereum. Why are we not talking about how to save my Ethereum?
I've never seen Ethereum in a tweet and the word security.
Because they could keep making it. So if you lose it, you don't feel so bad. You may lose some, right? And then this is why I don't want to have I remember a few weeks ago we talked about how there was some toxicity and the shitcoin thing is kind of weird. Shitcoins are still strong to me, but it makes perfect sense to me because it's like, the thing is this, they're trying to have conversations in a space where they can't have the conversation in. Yeah. And then their best thing is magic tricks. Like, well, this can do that. And it's like, well, that can also be done on the Bitcoin network and it's going to be done better. Yeah. And we've talked about that.
I think what goes, Mark Cuban talked about this when he was talking about Ethereum and Bitcoin, and he thinks Ethereum has a leg up on Bitcoin because it already has built-in utility. Where Bitcoin doesn't necessarily have utility in its base layer, but utility can be added to it. So
I disagree with that. I know that's what he said. I'm not saying.
Yeah, I understand his take on it, and I think that's where these other coins come in. Like I'm thinking about what is it, Monero, where it's just like the privacy coin.
Right. We're missing one major component in his theory, and Monero, and then the other coin is that once I lose it, I can't replace it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that.
He is wrong 1,000% because people value scarcity.
Absolutely.
People don't give a crap about usability.
Smart contracts.
Because there's always going to be another use case for everything. There's always a better Google, a better whatever. So you're telling me that there's going to be Ethereum 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.0s.
Yeah.
I don't value that. That's not valuable to me at all.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, that's the same thing as me buying an Apple or a Mac. Like, that's how fickle the relationship is. I'll bounce. Like, I'll go get a Windows computer. Yeah. Right? And with Bitcoin, that conversation it doesn't happen.
Right.
And I think that's where shitcoins, rightfully so, deserves to be called shitcoins, because it's not so much that Bitcoiners call them shitcoins. It's that side, because they want to defend what they like, have to come over and make arguments that make no sense.
Yeah.
And when you come over and make arguments that make no sense, it's like, are you trolling? Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why are we having this conversation? Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, we're still building on Bitcoin, and we're doing it in a consensus way, not in a Vitalik way. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like, he can't be the problem solver. We need to be the problem solvers. Yeah. So we can talk about business use case. We could talk about market flow. We could talk about blockchain. We could talk about a lot of different things. But when you're coming over here and you're telling me that we're talking about a really good thing, investment is a storage in time, right? That's what we're doing. We're putting money away. We're putting energy away for it. Come on, I can't pick the team that's not winning. Yeah. I can't pick the squad of 5 dudes when I got an army over here, right, of something that's extremely hard to find. Yeah. And if I lose it, I'm not going to get it back, right? Which goes back to the trust thing. They're shitcoins not because that's something cool and catchy to say. It is, but it's not. They're shitcoins because you have no power here. Yeah. Your technology means nothing here. They pale
in comparison.
But that side wants you to convince you. Yeah. With the word blockchain and all this, that it is a comparison. Yeah. So what happens is, Ben, is when you and I are like, a lot of people, and I got this phone call yesterday. I was in a room with somebody who's really close to me who was like, yo, I'm trying to stake my Ethereum. Now, this person doesn't have a boatload of Bitcoin. Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, and we know what's about to happen. The SAT squeeze is about to go down. Yeah. So it's like, don't do that.
I get that all the time, bro.
Don't do that, right? And that's the thing. The Ethereum guys come out and they give this false hope. That's why they're called shitcoins, and rightfully so. I didn't know that. I just thought people were being toxic and shitcoin sounded cool. But there's a logic behind that word shitcoin. And it's that you guys have no power here. And for you to come here and give these arguments here, we're going to laugh you out the room. Yeah. Like, literally, metaphorically, you need to get out of here. This conversation can't happen here. Because, like I said, Bitcoiners on their own time, nothing is free, but on their own time are teaching us about security, are teaching us about sovereignty, are teaching us about politics, are teaching us about finances, are teaching us everything across the board. And all this information is free. Yeah. Try to find that on Ethereum. You said it. You've never seen it. You're a shitcoin because you deserve to be a shitcoin, not because we're calling you one. Yeah. I just wanted to try to hit on that topic.
I've never looked at Ethereum. I've never seen it with the word security. I've never heard, philosophy around it or anything. Like when I'm listening to Michael Saylor talk about the philosophy and history of money and how Bitcoin solves these money problems. Like, I've never heard an Ethereum argument.
You can't make that
even like, I think we've talked about how, smart contracts would be great and use cases for them. Yeah. But I haven't heard much of that from, them or seen it on Twitter.
Yeah, they're still working on the transition to 2.0. And then something's happening this July where they're moving the field goal post again. I don't know. I can't speak on it because I'm not on that. But it's like, once again, when do we get stable? Yeah. Like, when is it that we start building these monsters? Because Bitcoin started as nothing too, right? Yeah. So, but it was always been the same from the beginning, that very base layer. And then the smart contract thing goes away because, like you and I spoke about, the oracles, right? The stuff that they're building. Yeah, it's an oracle that handles the multi-sig, but it's this stuff that Bitcoin already had natively that now they're scaling and we have use case for it. So it's just very strange to me and harmful to me when a close friend of mine will come to me and basically be like, yo, I only have so much money I want to stake Ethereum.
Yeah. I get it all the time, bro.
I know.
I think people look also at Bitcoin and they're like, yo, if one coin's 60,000 and I got 500 to invest, like, I can buy 1/4 of an Ethereum. Yeah. Or I can buy 1/30th of, or 1/60th of, not even 1/20th of one Bitcoin. So that's a rough one. I think like that might put people off, or some people still don't know that you can buy, a fraction of a Bitcoin. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that, to me, that kept me away from Bitcoin for so long.
Yeah, same here.
Where like, I didn't Google it. I just assumed like, so I don't know why we assume that.
I mean, it wasn't really till this run that we started hearing sats and stuff like that too. So I know they've always existed. I just think it got really catchy to do that. So that's what helped. But if anybody watching this show thinks that I have enough to buy a whole full Bitcoin, you're not watching closely enough. But you stack sats, you get Bitcoin, right? Yeah. So that's just one of those things. Once again, I that's why I want to be specific with my words when I say Bitcoin as to when I'm talking about crypto, because the solutions that Bitcoin is solving either on accident or by design. You know, some people can make the argument that it kind of just bumped into what it's doing or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's solving something that the other coins, all of them, can't solve.
Right.
And that's important. And, you know, you just have to look at the price tag to know that I'm not lying. I'm not making this stuff up. Just look at the price. I mean, everybody agrees. It's a consensus thing. I'm not making it $60,000.
Right.
So I did want to poke into that because lately I'm like, shit coins make sense. I still don't drop it like that, but I feel confident understanding when somebody's coming to troll in to say, hey man, like the Hornets, right? Like you're coming into an area here where you is that meme that I see from Lord of the Rings where it's like, you have no power here. You don't have the strength to come and have this, but they do. They come in. I've heard them in rooms. I've seen them in like tweets and comments. Like the Ethereum guys, Hornets are out here too. But the problem is they're fudding their way to a tool instead of having the breed loves of the world, right? Like having these figures that are like not fudding, they're giving you information. Ethereum's just way too early. And listen, it's supposed to replace supercomputers, right? Amazon cloud computing and all that. That's fair. I'm not an investor in Amazon. Or cloud computing.
Right.
So that just shows how much I care about that. I just don't care about that.
Right.
On the other hand, thankfully to the breed loves of the world and all that, we found this thing that can now transform life and change everything around and change decisions, change creativity, it's a shitcoin. It's a shitcoin. It doesn't mean don't invest. I'm not an investor. Make your money. Do what you got to do. Watch out for them taxes on that back and forth swap. But I'm good. I stay away. I don't think it's even newsworthy. I do want to talk to somebody about NFTs. That'll be a dope combo. But that's about as far as I go with Ethereum.
I'm still on that. Like when we talked about NFTs in the source files.
Is it dead?
Bro, there has to be like a multi-sig that holds data. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. You take physical possession of it, or you have a seed phrase and it lives on the blockchain like Bitcoin or something.
What has to you have to, if you haven't yet, read the article or listen to the article on Bitcoin Audible. Shout out to Guy Swan. Bitcoin Audible is fantastic. Some people don't like to read. He just reads them for you. It's fantastic. Check that out. But I read it. Gigi's article, Bitcoin in Time. He talks about that. He's like, look, the problem is that there's no way for us to be able to verify that other image, like that it wasn't copied or whatever. There's just no, even if you put it in a multi-sig, how do I know, right? And then he talks about like, this is kind of going south here, but and I'm paraphrasing, but he talks about like why when fugitives get kidnapped, the kidnapper uses a newspaper as the timestamp, right? Because the news is the only thing you can't foreshadow and predict. Those events haven't happened yet. So if you have a newspaper, it's the best verification that the other side can see that this is legit time and this is legit happening. So with an NFT, you're not getting that type of transparency and the verification. So yeah, I mean, I know you heard it. I've heard it. A lot of people are paying a lot of money for nothing.
Yeah.
And I've heard the people argue back, well, I like it, and that's all that matters.
Sure.
Okay. Cool, but I could still point out that you're paying for air. Like if somebody said, yo, this balloon right here got rare oxygen.
Yo, they sell crazy stuff, bro. I think
you've always talked to me.
I think it was 2 Chainz was on a show with someone.
Remember that? It was like a YouTube show?
I think so. And they were selling air or something, right? It's like Canadian Air.
I just know he had that show where he would try like super expensive shit. Like it was
I think it was one of those.
Like $1,000 burger or something like that. Yeah.
But it's something like that, literally, I think with like air from like a certain country.
I get it. And you and I have had this back and forth because we've talked about sneakers. We've talked about a lot of stuff. I get it. I do. I buy stuff that I really like too.
Yeah.
To me, it's just there's a limit to that exposure, right? Like there's a weirdness to that at least you have to acknowledge, and if you don't acknowledge it, you might have a problem.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes to you, you can't be in denial enough when somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, man, you bought this microphone, but there's nothing inside of that microphone. You just bought the microphone." And you didn't know that. You can't be egotistical enough to be like, nah, but that's what I wanted. You have to admit, like, damn, I got played.
Got me.
Yeah. Nobody's saying got me. Everybody's trying to like lean into it. Like, nah, but this is dope thing that I can in virtual reality land. I can pull it out.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so for your sake, because it's not worth what these guys are paying for it. I feel bad. We're creators. We want to take advantage of this stuff. And back to the Ethereum shysters, Hornets, they're selling on people's need to try to make money. Yeah. And a lot of these NFT groups, comments, stuff that I've been seeing is more like a come in, pay to come in, be your creator. Like they're hitting that pain point. And that's very charlatanish because you're not telling that creator what's happening on the other side. Yeah. Some may win and some have. A lot are going to lose. And it's going to be very painful that can only help Bitcoin in my people are just going to come to Bitcoin, but nobody should have to go through that experience. And if you want to go back to Vitalik again, that's up to him and his leadership to kind of put a rein on that. Like, it's open source, but you guys can't be playing people either.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a completely different thing. We talked about the mining and why KYC mining, it's worth the price, right? To not have that KYC. The $5 wrench attack, I have it here. That's the reason KYC is good. And just to go through that one really quick, a $5 wrench attack is the theory that if you dox yourself, which means you give your information online, your address or something, somebody could come to your house because they know you have Bitcoin, and literally with a $5 wrench, they could, in theory, they could come rob you, is what the point. So non-KYC Bitcoin by mining, by hodl peer-to-peer, and just by knowing somebody that's going to sell you some Bitcoin, just gives you more privacy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think this is all about privacy.
Absolutely.
Hence crypto. So that was the $5 wrench attack. You have FinCEN director who was pushing for KYC. Oh, I have that. Sorry. For all hardware wallets is stepping down. The article said that that's a huge victory for Bitcoin, but I think that was a strong headline because there's nothing nobody can do about what's happening on the Bitcoin network.
Yeah.
I've gotten past that point.
Yeah.
You could say that the wallets can't be sold, like the hardware, physical wallets, but that's about it. And if I already have my 24 seed phrase, that's fine. These software guys, you can go get a Bitcoin Core, which is the wallet that is highly recommended, Bitcoin Core wallet, and have it all software. You don't need a hardware wallet per se. The hardware wallet just became a thing because people like physical devices to try to prove things to them, that it locked their money up or whatever. So go ahead, step down, step up, put legislation, stop these hardware wallets. The Bitcoin network is still going to live, as we've talked about plenty of times. I did have that in there. We talked about Ethereum charlatans, and I'm not going to compare them to one of these. Let's talk about Pomp, man.
Yeah, what did he do recently?
He did a few things recently.
He designed a course.
He got the Hornets on his ass. That's what he got.
I saw that. I saw the memes.
And listen, Pomp is very vocal for us Bitcoiners. So I don't want to take that away from him. He's a very smart guy. But yeah, you said it before we started recording. Is that what it takes to be rich?
Yeah.
It's just the used car salesman thing never works. It's sleazy. It's why I don't like Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
It's why I don't like a lot of these people, because it's like, look, you get money. I understand that. We solve problems. That's what we do. Capitalistic, got it. I'm not hating on that one bit. But you can do that and not be the car salesman.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of examples of people that have done it.
Yeah.
So to me, it just rubs me off the wrong way when you're... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
He launched the course, right, for newbies?
He did a bunch of stuff, but yeah, let's go with that one. He, I don't know if it was for newbies. I'm thinking it's the older crowd.
Okay.
My opinion.
Yeah. But when I read it, I thought it was for like people new to the space and people looking to get like employed in the space.
So that's why I'm thinking it's for older people, because it was in Florida, and I don't see a newbie paying $1,000.
Yeah, sure.
Especially when you got Bitcoin Twitter. Right. That's absolutely free.
Yeah.
So I think it's like for like middle age in the space, older people to try to learn about cryptocurrencies, right? Not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in there, I'm sure, but he's trying to do the cryptocurrencies thing. And there was like a 3-week thing.
Yeah.
I also don't see a newbie wanting to do something for 3 weeks like that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. So I think his audience, if I were to guess, is like, maybe 40 and up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 40 and up, older people in the space. Somebody broke down the numbers. It's a pretty easy number. He said he wanted to help 10,000 people. That's 1,000 a pop. That's what, 100,000? Something like that?
100 million.
100 mil?
Right. What was it? 1,000 versus 1,000 times
1,000 a person times 100? No.
Or times 100,000.
Times 10,000.
Oh, okay.
That's 100,000?
Should be $1 million.
Either way, I don't want to count his pockets. I don't count people. That's not my place. And we all got to make money somewhere. So, but it's just, once again, man, we know what this is about. We know about this fight that we're about to take on. Some people don't want that philosophy. Some people really do like the asset of it.
Yeah.
And whatever. But to me, is you can't stick your feet on both sides of the fence. And I think he does that too much.
Yeah.
Just lean into the investors, man. That's okay. Like, I don't get the whole, like, I'm an investor hardcore, but now I want to be a pleb. Like, you don't need to be a pleb. You're not a pleb. Like, you're obviously.
Yeah.
So it's like he does that a lot.
Yeah.
And he goes both times. And I just think people just like me, are just sour in the mouth about it. I'm not mad at the dude. Like I still think he brings valuable points up.
Sure.
I think his
newsletter's good.
And one of the podcasters that I think has an episode like every day. I mean,
he's a hardcore podcaster.
Yeah,
he might be on like 1 or 2 a day.
I think it's 1 a day, but even that's impressive, right? Yeah. But it's Pomp, cool stuff. It's just lean into your audience, know who your audience is.
Yeah.
But I think his relationships don't allow him to be a pleb, even if he wanted to.
Yeah.
because, you're trying to maybe sell some Ethereum products and then you can't. So he's well general, but that's all, man. Just be careful. Not be careful. Do what you want. But if you don't want to get harmed and harassed, I think it's one of those things. Stop stepping in both sides. You just got to lean in heavy to like, hey, I'm a top dog here. And that's cool. Like a Cuban of the world or something like that. I don't see Mark Cuban trying to be a pleb. No. I don't see Elon Musk trying to be a pleb. No. None of these guys care about that stuff.
Yeah.
So he should just lean into him. And I think he wants to be the meme guy so much and he wants to be the cool guy so much that he just keeps dipping in both. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. What you think, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, so he's obviously put out a lot of free content in the Bitcoin space.
Sure.
He podcasts like few on this earth do.
Yeah.
Right? He's always creating content. He's always on the news. If he creates $1,000 course and it's just an intro to Bitcoin, all right, that's kind of lame.
Super.
If it's a intro to Bitcoin combined with, we're going to help you get a job in the crypto space, or we're going to teach you some skills, and then it lines up with his, Pomp cryptojobs.com or whatever he has.
Sure.
Like if I spend $1,000 and then all of a sudden I'm in a 6-month course or program to get hired as an engineer at, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I think that's dope from a vocational standpoint. If it's just straight an intro to Bitcoin, like spend $15 and get the Bitcoin standard by Safety, and like it's gonna exceed probably anything Pomp would create because Safety is just a genius, man.
Go to Sailor Academy.
Or go to Sailor Academy for free.
This is why he was getting killed by the Hornets.
No, I saw it.
Yeah. And to his credit, it is crypto. He didn't say Bitcoin a lot, but we expect and it's just that. We preach about sovereignty. We preach about that stuff. I got another one for you.
Yeah.
I think it was around the time when the GameStop thing happened and all that, where he went on this tangent about trying to express how inflation is ruining the lower half of the community, right? He did a few podcasts about that. He did a newsletter about that. He did all that stuff. My man, do you think that crowd could afford $1,000 course?
Probably not. Yeah.
And that's cool. He's going to say, well, I'm not targeting them. Fantastic. I got you.
Yeah.
But once again, we're going back and forth here. Now we're talking about how the bottom, half is getting killed and how inflation is killing them or whatever.
Yeah.
But you completely didn't do much for them besides the free podcast, which I would argue that the guests are bringing the value, not necessarily Pomp himself. But anyways, you're giving this free content. You're bringing these guests on. That's fantastic. But you did nothing for that.
To tangibly lend a hand.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure you got a lot of subs for that newsletter, right?
Yeah,
so you
probably over 100,000.
Just for that, because it is a good argument. It's a valid argument of what's happening with inflation, how the bottom half can't afford it, all that. But you did nothing for that. And then the next most public thing that you do is $1,000 cryptocurrency course. Yeah. When you and I both know everything we've learned about crypto has been from peers. Yeah. Which is the way it should be. Mm-hmm. It's just salty. It's just weird. And he's living his best life. He could give two shits about what Ben and Jose got to say or anybody. Yeah. But character determines your ending in every story. And that's just something he has to be comfortable with. And if he's comfortable with, fantastic. But yeah, he should have expected that the Hornets were coming. Yeah. And if he didn't, then he's blind. But that's all it is. But he does do stuff, especially
I wonder how he feels about it. Because I know people were adding him with memes.
I think he'll take the high road and say, I'm kind of too big to be dealing with y'all anyways. Yeah. But that doesn't help his argument. Yeah. And then the people were killing him for like the, which listen, I have a little history of marketing, so I get, but like his like scripted messaging or whatever that they reposted. And it's like, dude, are you even there? Like, this is somebody who's taking care of your social media. And I'm over here trying to derive value from a guy who's not even behind the page. Yeah. It's just weird. I like Pomp. I do. There's something for, being good at what you do. I'm with that. The newsletter's fantastic. I even like what his wife is doing. Her newsletter's fantastic. So there's a lot of good things coming from that camp, but this one wasn't good in him. This is the L for you, good sir. Yeah. He's going to have to sit with that.
we should do like the L of the week.
I'm with you.
Takes the biggest loss.
We got to give a W too, though.
Biggest win, biggest loss.
Yeah. Well, that's the L. 1,000%. Yeah, let's do that. Pomp, you got the first L ever.
First L ever. Talking in bits.
We respect you. Maybe you should come on the show. So, SEC commissioner says you can't ban Bitcoin without banning the internet. Hit me.
Listen, a lot of people are still scared that Bitcoin isn't going to work out. Right? Sure. 2017, 2018, the price goes up to 20 grand and then comes back down to 10. Oh, it's a bubble. I told you. They took everybody's money. Like, people still don't understand that Bitcoin makes you sovereign over your government, over your nation state, over, a lot of different things.
Yes, sir.
Over, privacy issues. And they don't understand the benefits of Bitcoin. They just look at it as a number. And so people are still waiting, for Bitcoin to fail.
Yeah.
And so I don't, at what point or at what price point do people say, all right, Bitcoin's too big to fail. It's $100,000. It's $500,000. It's $1 million.
And sometimes it's a celebrity, right? They're waiting for their favorite investor or their favorite, X, Y, whatever person to say that they like it. And then they'll kind of be like, oh, I've liked it too. And that's cool. I think we've all had a point where, and we needed something to happen for it to happen. But, you're living under a rock right now.
There's, if you haven't bought in yet, if you still think it's a scam, just read the Bitcoin standard and then look at who's invested in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Tesla's bought Bitcoin. Cities are buying Bitcoin. States are buying Bitcoin. Countries are buying Bitcoin. Countries are going to be mining Bitcoin to hodl.
Those are all signals.
You know what I mean? Like, all these signals point one direction, and so it's just a matter of time. But when with someone in that position in the SEC, like to say stuff like that, that's a huge green light. It is.
Yeah. That's a whole weird. I'm not into politics like that, and that whole like ladder thing. It still has to go through Congress, right? Like if they were to try to like ban or to try to do something, so it would still have to go through like the Congress.
You can't ban it unless you ban the internet.
Right, and they're screwed. They're gonna kill themselves.
And again, with Starlink going into space, and literally computers that are gonna be in space, they're gonna run Bitcoin, bro. That's insane. He's
a holler himself. Why wouldn't he?
Right.
Well, did you hear? I didn't hear much about it, but I do respect his word. Did you hear Peter Thiel's whole thing? What he was talking about? Where he was kind of giving that, hey, you guys better get up on it because China's on your ass. Like China's already doing this. Yeah, he gave like what I kind of took as a subliminal to the U.S., like without directly speaking to anybody in the U.S., to kind of say like, this will be the one you lose if you're late to this party. Like this is the one that will, this whole empire thing that you got going on. If they get on this bag before you guys do, see you later.
The U.S. Department of Defense, like fiscal budget, is insane. If they took some of that and allocated it to, we're going to set up Bitcoin mining spaces.
Yeah.
Across the U.S., across the world, whatever in the U.S. possession, like take 100 million, take 100 billion. If they spent 100 billion on like hiring miners, like engineers to oversee everything. And then, getting the facilities, the United States would create so much Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
Daily, you know what I'm saying?
And they probably wouldn't have to buy it. They could just like give tax breaks to miners.
Exactly.
They
could finesse the deal and earn Bitcoin every day. But, Max Kaiser talked about this, the hash wars are going to be countries are going to be battling for who can, mine more Bitcoin and buy more Bitcoin to be the sovereign,
So Peter Thiel was basically saying that, and we could wrap up on this one. We're about to hit 45 minutes, but Peter Thiel was basically, that's what I got from it. I mean, I'm not a genius, but I kind of knew that. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I think the last space that gets into this space is going to be, but now it's just fun to be able to watch. Will the U.S. slip? Will they fall on their face because of their ego, or will they actually get their stuff together and understand that?
I'm of the belief, we both read The Sovereign Individual, that like the nation states aren't going to be what they were when we were kids, by the time we die.
Yeah.
Right. The nation state will lose its grip. It'll lose its power. Taxes will lower everywhere.
Right.
And sovereign individuals who hodl Bitcoin and have their own resources will be, represented by a collective group that shares similar beliefs.
Yeah.
Versus, you guys live on the same space geographically, and your politics have to align this way. It's like, I don't need to do that based on geography at all. I need to align with people who share my values.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be our own squad, and the hoodies run it, and you just like, you're sovereign. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's a great world. That's a great world to be in. Probably a scary one to be in at first, because what we're used to.
Yeah.
But it's still fun to see change. And damn it, man. Who knows if we'll even be around for it.
All speculation.
All speculation. Yeah. But this wraps up another episode. This is 15? 15. Guys, thank you much for joining us. As always, we're going to hit you with these conversations every week, only if you rate, share, and subscribe, so we can see that you guys love, that you guys care. Any of the links below will sponsor the show and be able to help us out so we could keep this thing going on. We appreciate you guys as always. You can catch us in the podcast index, lightning powered. We're trying to live up to the Bitcoin name. We're trying to give you guys the best information, and with your guys' support is the only way we can have that. So until next time, guys, episode 16.
We're at 15. Peace.
Well, see them in 16. Later, guys.